right, moving on to common level of appraisal. Carly Martin, the assessor for Berry City, is going to do a presentation.
Yes, she is.
Hi.
All right, Carly, here we go.
If any of you watched the city council meeting, we did a very similar presentation, so this is going to be very similar. Kind of repeat.
Is this being shared?
I'm working on that right now, so hold on a second.
Sure. I didn't want to spoil it.
Yeah, hold on. There we go. The board members have it in their packet. This is as large, I think, as I can make it.
The little expander thing, that little sideways arrow on the share screen. There's this
Diagonal arrow.
this guy.
Oh,
Oh, well, that did a thing.
Carly, do you need a piece in front of you? Can you see that, or do you want?
I can kind of. Oh,
Okay.
that'll work. So Berry City is doing a reappraisal in 2026. My name's Carly Martin. I'm the assistant assessor. We contracted with New England Municipal Consultants, which is Matt Krajewski. He's our reappraisal contractor. Just a little bit about me. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Vermont. I'm a licensed certified general real estate appraiser in the state of Vermont. That includes obtaining 300 plus professional education hours in real estate appraisal. And I also now have obtained some education in assessing since we took this on over the past like 2 years. I've worked for Martin Appraisal Services for 3 years. Before that, I was an emergency nurse.
Yeah, I can't move.
Some people are unfamiliar with the role of the assessor in Berry City, so first I'll talk about what assessors typically do.
Can people see it?
One down from that, Joanne.
Thank you.
We started in December of 2023. Assessors work to maintain the annual grand list. This includes homestead verification, equalization studies, permits, updating properties for damage, that's floods, fires. We verify inactive parcels. We look at tax exemptions, tax credits, tax stabilization. We handle grievances and appeals on an annual basis. Any updates that might be required due to subdivision surveys, sales, anything that comes through out of the deed. And we answer any questions or concerns from the public. I think it's helpful to go through a few definitions just so everyone's on the same page. Assessed values are property valuation used for property taxes. Fair market value is defined first by state law. It's the estimated fair market value of a property is the price that the property will bring in the market when offered for sale and purchased by another. That definition is a little bit longer. I shortened it here for us. An assessor is either hired or appointed by a municipality to maintain the annual grand list versus, you see the word lister a lot. A lister is an elected person who maintains the annual grand list. So a lot of smaller towns in Vermont have an elected board of listers. That's where the term grand list comes from. We see that term come up a lot. Grand list, that's all the assessed values of all the properties in a given year and the basis on which the tax rates are set. The common level of appraisal, that's the ratio of assessed values to sale prices. This is provided annually by PDR, and it's based on a 3-year average of sales. The coefficient of dispersion, this is a statistical measure of equity in the grand list, also is given to us from the state. Grievance, this is a written notice provided in a timely manner that appeals assessed value. Every year, property owners have the opportunity to grieve their assessed value in the state of Vermont. The next slide is just to show a little bit of assessed values in action. So what they're actually doing on your tax bill. You'll see A is your assessed value. It then gets divided by 100. And it comes down to C, which are senior municipal taxes. If we go over to the other side of that, C, D, and E are the assessed value, all multiplied by tax rate. So you have your homestead education rate on this example and a non-homestead education rate. And then you'll see your total education tax. And then over in I, you'll see that broken out into 4 payments. I'm not sure how Berry Town does their payments, but Berry City does it in 4 segments. So. So what is reappraisal? We're doing a complete reappraisal, which is a reassessment of all the town's properties, including interior property inspections, development of a new land and building pricing schedule, and adjustments and factors. The goal must be to implement new values for all properties that reflect 100% of fair market value. So all properties will be reset to the current market in Berry City, just to be clear. Berry City is doing a reappraisal because we're under orders from the state based on the equalization study. Our coefficient of dispersion is 24. We haven't had a complete reappraisal in over 20 years, and we've been under reappraisal order since 2023. You'll see on this slide the CLA, which in 2020 was 94.97%. For 2024, it's 67.62%, and you'll see the COD has also been steadily rising, and it was 24% in 2024. Next slide here. I think it's important for the residents to understand that Berry City is not alone in needing a reappraisal. As of June 2025, there's 151 towns in Vermont, or about 59% are required to reappraise. The statewide CLA was 72.36%. The current CLAs across the state range from as low as 45.9% to as high as 111. The CODs also range from as low as 1.5% to 41.12, with an average COD of 20.54. And just a reminder, the coefficient of dispersion measures equity in the grand list. So even though you can have a low CLA, but if that COD is high, that's telling us that some properties are closer to, they're like farther spread out on the CLA. So if your CLA is 75% and your COD is 20, you have some that are very close to being 75, some that are much lower, and some that might be much higher than 75. Where we are in the reappraisal process. In 2022, Berry City executed a contract with New England Municipal Consultants to complete reappraisal for 2026-2027 tax year. The reappraisal will be completed for 2026-2027. That means that our valuation date will be April 1st of 2026. Property owners can expect initial information regarding new assessed values in the early spring of 2026. This will be after April. Data collection is complete for residential properties. This just means that we've gone out and measured all the residential properties, and we're starting to do that for all the commercial properties. We're also working on delineating the neighborhoods. This is an initial step in land valuation determination. Importantly for homeowners in Berry City, Berry City's current CLA is 67.62%. This means that assessed value is about 67.62% of sale prices over the past 3 years. Median home prices have really been rising over the past several years. The median sale price from Vermont property tax return in 2020 was $152,000 in Berry City. In 2024, it was $243,000, or about 60% property value increase in 4 years. Based on this data, we anticipate most homeowners will see a substantial increase in their assessed values from their current assessed values. Property owners can anticipate getting more information in the spring. We'll first send out preliminary values. This will go out to everyone. There'll be a booklet available in our office. Property owners will have the opportunity to attend informal discussions with our reappraisal contractor to discuss the proposed assessments. This is a great opportunity for people to come in who have questions about the process. And it's a really important opportunity for us to engage the public more in the reappraisal process. Instructions regarding the process for preliminary evaluation will be included in the notice to setting up discussions and stuff. Just some additional important information for the property owners. Property owners have already received a letter, especially homeowners, in the mail about reappraisal with an opportunity to schedule a site visit. They can still schedule a site visit by calling our office if they haven't yet and they want to. Reappraisal and Berry City personnel always carry identification, so please don't let any unidentified people into your home. If someone shows up trying to do an inspection, you can just call our office and we can set up an appointment. If you don't feel comfortable at that time, please don't let anybody you don't know into your house. Property owners with active permits should anticipate additional property inspections because we follow up on people who are having construction done on their home. Reappraisal is about creating equity and fairness in the grand list, and we appreciate the continued support and cooperation of the community. We're unable to tell anyone the reappraisal assessed value at this time or the implications on property taxes. Please make sure your mailing address is updated with the town clerk's office to make sure you receive all mailings in regard to the reappraisal. And just to touch on that point of equity and fairness again, because our COD is 24%, we know that some people have an assessed value that's much lower than our CLA and some people are higher. So we need to get that COD back down to hopefully 10% or around there. It's just telling us that our data is not good, which is really why we need to do the reappraisal so that everyone's being taxed equitably. There's some additional resources I included in here about how to read your tax bill, information on assessment from the Department of Taxes, and then we also have more information on reappraisal on our website. We're also available in person Tuesdays and Fridays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and by appointment if anyone wants to come in and has questions. They can also email me. My email address is there, and they can reach us by phone. That is my presentation. Any questions?
Catherine?
Do you know roughly what percentage of your grand list is homestead and what's not homestead?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So apartments are in Berry City are somewhere around 60% or more. The last number that I got. Does that sound about right?
It can vary considerably year over year because people, you have to file your homestead, right? So if you just don't file, then you go under the non-homestead rate. So the responsibility in Vermont is on the homeowner to file the homestead. So there can be considerable variation.
Jackie?
I have a question. It's kind of a broader question because these are some like alarming but not surprising numbers, I guess I should say, with how far off we are in Berry City. First and foremost, do other places or states have a CLA system? Do we know?
I don't know, sorry.
That's okay. And then do we also know how other states, like, is there a 60% jump between 2020 and 2024 in other places? Like, how unique is that? And how do we know any of these things? I don't know. Real estate insights. I'm kind of like, these are really big numbers. Are we alone in Berry City with that?
Well, I think
Or is
if we go
generally
back
the
to this slide,
Which number?
it's the slide where it says Berry City is not alone. Sorry, I don't know. It's got some like purple. Yeah, that one. You can see that Berry
So
City is not alone statewide when we're looking at the state. It's pretty well known that there's a lot of towns in Vermont that need to do reappraisal. So as far as like, there's a lot of towns that are in a similar situation. Does that kind of answer
Yeah,
your
no, that
question?
helps. Yeah.
Okay.
There were big questions. I didn't Thank you.
Emily?
And just to like follow on Jackie's point there, looking at that increase, that 60% in those 4 years, that to me looks like the pandemic, like the housing market spike that we saw during the pandemic, right? Which was statewide and nationwide.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So again, factors outside of our control when the housing market was really hot.
Yeah. And the CLA being low isn't such a big issue if the COD is still around 10. Once the COD goes over 20, it triggers the state to order a reappraisal, and that's telling us that our data is bad, right? Because when we're calculating the tax rates and stuff, if everybody's at 50%, then everybody's still paying the same amount. The issue is we're seeing this COD of 24%, and that's telling us that some property owners are farther away from being the same. We're seeing inequity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, and I might be wrong on this, but I think that the CLA being 80% also triggers?
It used to be, they've changed. Everything's changing rapidly. It's a little hard.
I take my
They're
comment
moving
back.
towards doing like a 6-year reappraisal cycle. So some of these triggers like the CLA and COD are moving away.
Okay. It's the reason why we should have assessing based on countywide,
But we actually do have a method to calculate an average CLA. Correct me if I'm wrong, Christina. We get an adjustment, right? Because they're diverse. There are so many towns that are so diverse.
Well, the state's doing.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of equalizes. The state does a formula, kind of equalizes the,
Yeah, that was new, I think, last year.
yeah, I think it came into play last year.
Right, we're moving to a statewide adjusted average CLA
Yes,
being multiplied instead of using our local CLA.
correct.
So that is an attempt to create equity.
That is an attempt to create equity. Yes, thank you.
any other questions?
Carly, thank you so much.
Of course.
you.
Very
Thank you.
educational.
Charlie.